The COVID-19 pandemic has proved stressful for all people. Fear and anxiety can be overwhelming, causing strong emotions in adults and children. Social distancing and wearing masks can make people feel isolated and lonely and can increase stress and anxiety, even though these actions are necessary to reduce the spread of COVID-19. People with mental illness or substance use disorders are particularly vulnerable. Mental illnesses affect a person's thinking, mood, or behavior in ways that influence their ability to relate to others and function. Additional stress, fear, anxiety, social isolation, and loneliness increase symptoms and put people at risk. Everyone reacts differently to stressful situations. Learn from people with mental illness how this pandemic affected their lives and the coping skills they are using to ride the waves.
So my name is Aaron Ayen. I live in the apartment program of Stepping Stones. I have volunteered for Stepping Stones and Stars of Light and Around Voice for many, many years. I have a roommate. I live in walking distance of Stepping Stone's main office where I attend groups and special events and all of that. Well, I've been going to my church for about a decade. I've been diligently going to services and helping them, not only going to special events from the church, but helping them with special events.
My name is Anne Marie O'Connell. I live at River North, which is assisted living. It's like the size of a small nursing home, only it's assisted living for people with mental illness. I've just gotten recently back into art. I've always loved art. Art was one of the things that I excelled in grade school and high school.
My name is Baldemar Gallegos, and I am the site coordinator for the Jubilee Center with Shelter Care Ministries. We're a drop-in center for people that have serious mental illness. We provide a place for them to come, whether it's come in for the socialization, come in to work with some of the advocates that are employed there to get some of their needs met, whether it's medical, psychiatric, maybe help keep some of their entitlements going. But I think the most part, a lot of the members that come in for the socialization.
Hi, I'm Billy Joe. I live in my own apartment and I have my own car. I love to spend time with my disabled daughter and my family. And I like being outdoors. I'm an outdoors type person. Spend time with my family is a big thing to me, and be in the church and also volunteer for the Stars.
My name is Bonnie Gilmore. I'm an employee of Rosecrans Health Network. My job as a recovery coach is helping serve the clients that have adult mental health issues. I link them to community services such as applying for free bus passes or reduced driver's license stickers for their vehicles, help with looking for housing, community resources like for food, help with shelter looking. Also, if there's giveaways for like clothing or other necessities to help them in their recovery.
My name is Brian Cadmus. I've been with Stepping Stones since 2008. I have bipolar 1 and anxiety. And I live in the apartment program at Stepping Stones. I just moved over there in late October of last year. And some of my hobbies include reading, listening to music, going on walks, and some other things too.
I'm Danielle Angelari. I'm the executive director of NAMI Northern Illinois, and we are part of the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. Our support groups offer support for people living with their own mental illness, for people that find themselves in caregiving roles of people, adults and children. And then we have a bunch of educational programs and courses for the community at large, for people living with their own illness and for families.
Hi, my name is Donna. I am a mother of 3 adult sons, 2 of whom who have psychotic disorders. I have bipolar disorder with agoraphobia and extreme anxiety disorder, PTSD, and borderline personality disorder. So my cup runneth over, so to speak. I love to write. I always have as a little girl. It's kind of been my saving grace. It's a very healing experience.
Hi, my name's Mark. I've been with Stepping Stones for 3 or 4 years now. I live in an apartment to my friend roommate Aaron. So I was a gardener for a couple of years there. I've been with Stars Light for 2 years now. I'm excited to get back to plays, and everything's going good with that. I love it, and I miss it a lot.
My name is Mike Corey. I'm a musician, currently working on a new album. I'm an author, currently working on a new self-help book. And I make video games, which currently I'm in talks of getting funded. In 2019, I made a lot of connections with a lot of different independent movie filmmakers and was working on a lot of different stuff for them, video game-wise.
My name is Sue Schroeder, and I am the CEO here at Stepping Stones of Rockford, Incorporated. We are a community mental health center. We serve individuals who have serious mental illness. Most of the people that we work with live in group homes or apartments that have staff between 16 and 24 hours a day. We also serve people who live more independently in the community, provide the full range of mental health services, kind of the full array of services that you would get at any community mental health center.
My name is Tracy. I'm very creative. I'm also very active in my community. I enjoy working with Stars of Light. I've been with them since they've almost started. It's a way I use my creativity, but also to help me advocate and educate others. I also do some volunteering for NAMI.
My name is Zeke, and I came to Stepping Stones, and I went through the process of living in a group home, living in an apartment, and now I live in my own apartment. I work every day for Stepping Stones. Eventually I got a job. It's real good. I enjoy, I like going to the YMCA. I go to the library about every week. Every week I visit my parents, I visit my niece, and it's a pretty set schedule thing I do most of the time.
When the virus first impacted me, I wasn't able to go places. Stores were closed, doctor's offices were closed. I wasn't able to go out and get groceries. I felt like a caged animal. And I made a decision to go stay with my boyfriend because he was a good support for me and I was for him. I'm more independent than I used to be, but yet we still do things together. We garden and go for walks and stuff too. I have a disabled daughter who lives in a facility, and I was unable to see her and unable to talk to her on the phone for quite a bit of time. And she's a big part of my life, so it was very, very hard not to be able to see her. And with the crisis the way it was hard to be able to do that. I couldn't even talk to her for a while. And then one of my friends got the virus, and I love her like a sister, but I can't bring myself to be with her because she had the virus, and I don't want my whole family to get it because they're all elderly and disabled, and it was very hard for me to accept the fact that my friend had the virus. I was afraid. I was uneasy.
Well, for me, the virus, was very disappointing. It hit me like a rock, and I, was doing good there for a while, and all of a sudden the virus came, and I, dealt with it and stayed at home when I could, only go out for essentials, and with my roommate we played games, watched TV and stuff, and We share a place, so that's nice. And I miss the groups, and I miss the Stars of Light. I missed a lot of things, like I miss my gardening work, and I feel bad about the virus, but
We had already been meeting as what we called a COVID response team, and we had to put actions into place with what are we going to do with the individuals we serve, and are we going to, what are we going to do about our staff, and how are we going to run groups, and are we going to allow our clients to go on home visits, just the whole gamut of things that we needed to make decisions about. We created what we called isolation kits, that if we had somebody turn positive, we just have to go and grab one thing and take it to the site, and then the site would be set up. HR was very involved with staff being off, with the various people being off for daycare or needing to take care of their children, or staff that were symptomatic, and what to do about that.
The order changed my life, where it seemed like just everything stopped. It was like I was waking up every morning like it was a dream, not being able to go outside and be active and do the things I enjoy and giving back. It really kind of set me back. I was unable to attend my church with my church family. I was unable to see friends that are special to me. And I was unable to be involved in things that matter.
It scared me at first because, I didn't really have much information about it, and, I didn't know if it was a fatal disease or not, or, if I would get it, or how to be safe with it. And my work was suspended. I wasn't volunteering at the hospital anymore, and groups were canceled, and I wasn't going to groups, and so I really didn't have very much to do, activities to go to, and so I started finding things to do around the house, like social media, reading, and listening to music, and cleaning my apartment, and I was doing different stuff at home.
I used to work as a CNA in the nursing homes, and so I'm used to that kind of environment where there's isolation going on and stuff like that. Well, I had already been limited because I stopped driving. I gave up my car, so I stopped driving, so I was already used to not being able to go places except with staff.
Well, once we got the word that we were going to have to close down, we informed the members that we were going to be following the guidelines that the state have set forth for us to follow. So what we had figured out that we could do is that we would do some sack lunches and also be available for something that they may still need assistance with, that we would at least be available for them during this time. And many of them will come to pick up mail, or come in and maybe ask our assistance or support in something that they're still needing help with.
Well, when COVID hit, a lot of things changed. I couldn't come down to the main office. I either had to talk to my supervisor or CM, case manager, on the phone. I couldn't go down to see them face to face either. If I needed something from them, I had to call them, and they would have to come to my house and drop it off. No groups. And groups are not just at Stepping Stones, and not just for learning new things, although that's part of it. It is the social hub of Stepping Stones. And you go there not only to learn things, but you also go there to hang out with friends and have fun. So that wasn't there. My counselor that I would meet face-to-face, I would have to talk on the phone with instead of face-to-face. All this stuff said, it was more of an inconvenience for me than anything else. And the reason why is I've been through so many different, even worse, more isolating, more hurtful conditions than the lockdown provided.
my immediate response to the pandemic was it was terror. The panic attack was immediate. It was instantaneous. I started to sweat along my hairline. My palms started to sweat. I had labored breathing. Felt like I had to force myself to breathe, and even when I did the best that I couldn't possibly get enough oxygen into my body to help me stabilize the way that I was feeling. One of the hardest parts about it was that I dissociated, which I do sometimes when the stress is so high. My immediate response was a little more harsh maybe than the response would have been had I not already had struggles of my own. You know, it was not the perfect response. I don't know if there is a perfect response to the fact that, a pandemic is sweeping our country, sweeping the world. You know, how does one respond to that?
Yeah, well, at first, it was a virus from China, and I didn't think much of it. And then one day we're going into blood draws, and everyone's 6 feet apart. Nobody's it's just like a murmur in the room of concern. There was even a girl crying. And, it was scary. It was almost like September 11th, but worse because I could be a victim. Well, a lot of things changed that I couldn't do anymore. I couldn't go to the library. I couldn't go to the YMCA. I couldn't go to my parents' house. I couldn't visit my brother and his daughter. And about the only person I had human contact with was my neighbor. We would just be out smoking, and that was the only person, that I had contact with. And, it's a blessing that I had that contact, just that one person, because it kind of helped me to get through.
I had a bad breakup, and then about 3 days later, they shut down everything. I remember my daughter telling me about COVID, and I just told her that it was just a normal thing that happens, that, we get diseases and they spread sometimes. And then we got shut down, and I didn't even think about it at the time because I had so much other stuff happening, and it just wasn't there. It wasn't something that I was thinking about, but I also didn't get to see my therapist. I had to talk to her on the phone, and it was really easy on the phone to lie to her about what was going on in my life. So that just led to more bad decisions, and so that had some negative outcomes. I didn't have any of my resources to reach out and go and do stuff like stars. We didn't do any touring or anything, and that was hard. So I had to occupy myself, and I ended up occupying myself with drugs and alcohol. And then I kept forgetting that I couldn't keep track of anything because I was doing so bad in life that I kept forgetting to put my mask on. I get yelled at because I wasn't thinking about COVID. I wasn't thinking about that at all. I was just going on like everything was normal and it was an everyday thing. But all around me, it was happening and it was affecting stuff, and I didn't even realize how much it was actually affecting things.
Then they told us that we had to stay at home, not to leave our apartments, and if we go out and about, wear a mask, and hopefully, we stay 6 feet apart from each other. And my family, I text them every day and see how they're doing. They text me back, that they know that they love me, but I really haven't seen my family in a long time. It makes me feel upset, because I love them a lot, and I miss them a lot, and hopefully things get better as time goes by.
My experience with COVID was very light. I didn't feel too miserable or anything. But I know some people I know some people got it really bad. And there was another resident who got sick really bad and passed away. And then our administrator, he got sick. Over half of our residents and employees got sick. I'm used to death because of working in the nursing homes, but it's like I don't really have a big reaction when somebody dies. Like it seems like it's not even real. You know, it's like surreal, like all this isolation and people dying and all that. It's like, is this really real? You know?
The hardest part for me was not being able to go out and see my friends and family.
Well, my parents contracted the COVID virus, and they were sick like a week pretty bad. They were having body aches, kind of bedridden, and they actually lost their sense of taste. And they were sick a week before they got tested, and then they got tested, but at first they didn't even know they had the COVID, and they were sick, and they thought it was something or other, and it ended up being COVID.
How prices soared for people with limited expense income. Buying food at the grocery store, a limit of toilet paper or basic necessities increased, and especially during a pandemic. And that bothered me. We were able to, again, Rosecrans, come up with some help from one of our community partners, Northern Illinois Food Bank. We were able to get some cleaning supplies. We were able to get some non-perishable items and make them available to clients. The anxiety of clients wanting to get out because of COVID, it was kind of hard to get to them sometimes, you know. So we hand-delivered things to clients that were in need that really had a social anxiety issue that couldn't get out on their own.
It was inconvenient because I couldn't go to the store, I couldn't go to the doctors, I couldn't get the blood work done. I was unable to see my family, and I have a very close-knit family. And wearing the mask was not pleasant, but I had to do that because that's what the standards are.
Well, the buses were the biggest inconvenience because it took me months to figure out how to go to the grocery store and get home with my cart, because I would either have to get a ride from Compassionate Friend or walk to Dollar Tree. So that probably was the biggest inconvenience.
People are still struggling, and there's kind of a disconnect right now. I think when everyone had to stay at home, they kind of lost touch with other things that they were doing and maybe started struggling a little bit with their mental health themselves. People still call in crisis. I don't think mental health crises go away because there's a pandemic, and then things are not necessarily as open as we'd like them for people to get help. Granted, mental health services are still open, but a lot of it is telepsych and things like that.
And one time I went to Michigan and I got kicked out of a house and had to walk to the car dealership, and it was hot and I'm out of shape, and I had to carry 3 bags of luggage. Got to the the rental place, and they were closed, and they said that my rental was waiting 10 miles down the road. So I had to walk down there, and I ended up passing out for a second. I fell over into a thorn bush. Well, I woke up in the thorn bush, and I started crying, and my thoughts just started racing, and I was having flashbacks, and I was having sensory issues with all the cars that were driving by, and I couldn't stop crying, and I thought I was just an idiot, and I couldn't believe that I got myself in the situation that I was in. I just couldn't think. I couldn't stabilize myself whatsoever, and the only thing I could think of was calling 911, because I knew I wasn't moving from that spot. I was just stuck. I couldn't focus on what I needed to do. I just lots of stuff, just voices and stuff, and it just got really bad. And I just couldn't do anything until the cop got there, and he even had to help me into the vehicle because I was just so distraught. I couldn't get myself to move right, and I was shaking, and it was just bad. It was just bad.
Well, it started when I thought I was having a bad sinus infection. I started getting sharp, headaches, and I told my caseworker, and I said, I think we need to call my doctor. I said, because I think I'm getting one of my sinus infections. And so she took my temperature, and it was 101. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And then it went to 10.3. And so they took me in, they got me tested right away. And just that waiting, that couple days or that few days was like nerve-wracking. And then the test came back positive, and I started to cry because I thought, oh no, what did I do? Because I tried to keep myself clean, my place clean. It was nothing I did. It's just something that happened. So we had to go under quarantine. I have to say, I didn't like it. I don't like being isolated, not being able to talk to your friends, your neighbor, go outside and be around nature, your garden, your birds, and then have an ambulance come in and out of our place all the time, wondering who was going to be sent out next or what was going to happen, and worrying about your neighbors, worrying about your roommate, So physically, I felt drained. I felt tired, like I didn't have any energy. Like I said, the severe headaches. Then having slight chills, and that's how it affected me. I didn't have any energy to do a lot of things. It affected me greatly, but I think one of the things that affected me the most was losing a dear friend and family member where we live, and that's a very hard thing to have to go through. And he's very much missed.
I was feeling really frustrated and anxious and scared.
I think not being able, I'm used to visiting my parents every week, my brother and my niece every week, and that's a big thing that was taken.
Well, this has made me feel anxious, depressed, because I'm unable to see my family and friends, and I needed that because I had a regular routine at one time. I'd go do certain things on certain days, and without being able to see my family and my friends, it was very debilitating to me.
The feelings it brought out of me were a mixed bag. One feeling was almost gratefulness because maybe I could get this disease and it would kill me or something, this virus, it could kill me and then just be done with all of it. I was sad because I couldn't go see my one friend, and I really needed to see him at that time because he's one of my bigger outlets, and I couldn't go see him. And the only way that we talk is over email. And then I would visit some other people and whatnot, and they handled it differently, and however they handled it, I would kind of become like them. If they were worried about it, I would worry about it. If they were sad about it, I would be sad about it. So it was more like I didn't have my own personal real feelings towards it. I was just kind of feeding off of everybody else's feelings about it. And then when I went home, I just never thought about it at the time.
And this will pass eventually, and I learned to take it one day at a time. And instead of focusing on what I can't have, focusing on when it happens, when the store's open and all the stuff I'm waiting for open, it's worth waiting for. So instead of focusing on it being closed, focus on how good it's going to be when it reopens.
You know, my feelings are, I have anxiety, you know, and hearing voices. My voices tell me that about my future, and they sound like they're real, but they're not real. You know I have a mental illness. You know, I just had to deal with it while I'm taking medication, and you know, just things get better the longer I deal with it. The things hopefully gets better.
With the emotional instability of bipolar disorder and the kind of typical but quirky fears that come with agoraphobia, a lot of times you get really concerned about your own safety and health and whether you're going to die, because sometimes it feels as though you want to die. Sometimes it feels as though you are dying. You know, dying is always something that is on my mind every day.
I was feeling anxious. I was fearful. And I also was angry because who would have thought, you know, something like this could have happened? And not knowing, it really kind of intensed my symptoms. It kind of had to teach me a different way to live.
I'm sorry. I still have a hard time talking about it. I mean, I lost my grandma, so it's been hard to cope with that. It was right at the beginning, and like we can't be around our, you know, family and friends like normal, so it's hard to deal with. Just losing your best friend. It wasn't COVID though. We had a small like graveside service, but like she was loved by so many people, and it's hard that we couldn't have her loved ones there. We're still thinking about doing something, but I mean, it's still not to a place where we can have more than 50 people, right? It's hard. I feel like everyone's lost something, whether that's a loved one. Granted, it wasn't to COVID, but a large event, graduation, prom, fundraisers. Everyone's grieving, I think.
Well, my routine is pretty strict. I mean, I wake up in the morning, clean my house, get ready, go to work. Luckily, when this COVID had hit, I was already in the process of buying a mountain bike, so that's how I got to work every day. And I didn't take the bus at all because I was really frightened to take the bus. I deal with the loneliness by calling my mom and my birth mom. I call my brother, and I don't know. I'm pretty much what you would call a loner, I guess. So it's not real hard, but it does definitely impact, you know. But really, when I come home, I maybe rest a little while, watch Unsolved Mysteries, and then I do a workout every day. And I try not to stop that workout when I'm doing it, because if I stop, I just won't start up again. And then after that, I kind of make dinner and stuff. I read every night for at least an hour or two, maybe.
I play board games and card games with my roommate. And I have this video game on my phone, and I use it as a coping skill.
The coping skills that I did do, I actually like art, and I've drawn pictures, but I also have written a poem. And then also, like with my gardening, I connect nature with my Lord and the birds and the butterflies.
Well, the coping skills I used were communication. I was talking to my friends and family on the phone and through video chat and texting, and other means. And I was using, well, I was trying to always be busy. I was trying to structure my day, have something to do throughout the whole day.
My coping skills, is playing board games with my roommate and watching TV, Wheel of Fortune, Star Trek. We love Star Trek, and I call people on the phone, talk to people on the phone, text people on the phone, and that's about it.
My coping skills are DBT coping skills, dialectical behavioral therapy skills, and I've learned them through Rosecrans. They help me get through each and every day, and some days more than others, but I have to have time to myself to be able to focus. And I also do journal too. I write my thoughts and feelings down, so that way it helps get it out of my head, so I don't have to have all the jumbleness in my head. So I would work in the garden, I would help outside, and keep the house clean and stuff like that. I really enjoyed being outside. And I found distraction also in the coloring books, the adult coloring books that I had, and it really was able to, I was able to focus on that and not have to worry about anything else around me. It was just that distraction technique. Self-soothe, I would listen to different kinds of music and do the word puzzles and spent a lot of time outside because I felt that I needed to have fresh air, so I would do that. But I was depressed for quite a while, and all I wanted to do was sleep. And I decided that that's not the way to do it, so I spend more time outside.
So breathing helped me slow down my heartbeat and kind of, calm myself. That had worked for a good number of years, but I found that wasn't working with the knowledge of the pandemic. I needed something better than that to harness my fear and to keep me from becoming paranoid. To tell the truth, I slept a lot in the beginning. I was exhausted. I was exhausted with the thought of what this all meant for America, how many of us would die. Sleeping may not have been the best coping mechanism, but I needed more sleep, during those times.
What's helping me is talking to certain people, music, writing music, listening to music. That's been helping me. The new thing coming up that, I might get my games funded, that's really making me happy. And just not watching the news. I don't pay attention to the news so much because I just figure that it's just going to cause me to panic more. I pay attention to warnings and stuff if a warning comes out that we're supposed to wear masks or do this or do that or whatever. But I don't pay attention to the news or anything like that. I just feel like it's making people more paranoid and more erratic during this process.
One of my suggestions for anyone in the mental health field is to do self-care. That's huge. Take good care of yourself during this. But to get outside, to walk, I started doing more of that. Meditating, I've been journaling, and also what has helped me, just do the right thing. Be friendly during a time when there's a pandemic or a world crisis, global crisis. Just show gratitude and kindness, and I think it comes back to you 100-fold.
I think some of the things that I've learned through this process are definitely reaching out to others. There was a group of about 8 of us who were either clinical directors or CEOs at residential facilities throughout the state of Illinois. And for a while, we talked once a week on the phone. What are you doing? How are you running your groups? How are you handling visitation? All of those types of things. And that was super helpful. So learning from others as well as being willing to help others, really looking out and finding what those resources are. Staff self-care is super important. We're always talking with the clients about how do you take care of yourself and using coping skills and how do we make our way through this. But I think doing that with staff is super important as well.
I think what we've learned from all this is how important and valuable the services that we provide are. And once they were taken away and we were only able to do it on a limited basis, I think everybody kind of came to the realization of the work that we were doing, as well as the members being able to identify how valuable the services that we provide for them are. Throughout the pandemic, I've heard numerous times, when are you guys going to open? When are you guys going to open? Because I know they were missing us as much as we were missing them. Overall, the majority of it, it's been a realization of how important and valuable we are to each other and in each other's lives through this.
People are more resilient than we give them credit for sometimes. A lot of people have done pretty well, I think, moving to virtual, even though it's not what anyone wants, really, because everyone likes to be in person, that human connectedness, but people are very resilient.
One of the things that I will remember is staff tells us, don't touch that door. You stay in here and you don't touch that door. So I couldn't peek down the hall to see how many other residents had COVID on their door and like outside the room. I was like, I wanted to know how many other residents were in this, but we weren't allowed to open the door and peek out. So.
Well, in 5 years from now, I would probably remember the masks and the isolation that I had to be in, unable to see my family and friends, and just having a normal life. I went from having a normal life to not having a normal life. And it was very stressful in a lot of ways, but I did have my family's support on the phone and my boyfriend's support too.
What I will remember most is that people, like, first of all, isolation is, I think, a daunting thing for a lot of people, especially if you're living with mental illness or substance abuse. And, like, it's just about reaching out to people and making sure they're okay and, like, having the supports in place if something like this were to ever happen again. We know how to move forward with it.
The thing that's going to stand out the most is, like, the isolation and the tension of anything that you touch could possibly infect you, you know. Sometimes I would like to go out, but I'm like, man, I can't, I can't do it, and it's just like sitting in the house, you just get sick of it, I think from now on, the world is going to be a lot cleaner because everybody's going to remember this and they're going to be just a lot more cleaner and stuff.
I think the biggest thing I'm going to remember is my downtime. And I made the best use of my downtime because I've learned a lot about myself and about why I believe what I believe. And I've grown a lot. I've grown a lot personally in my own internally as well as externally. And I will remember it not being super, super bad. It actually really helped me to grow. Because when you have challenges, doesn't matter if it's a disease or any other challenge, you meet it head on and you're victorious. You will learn stuff about yourself and you will grow and become a better person. People are forged in the fire of difficulty. And difficulty, even a pandemic, makes you stronger if you're able to get through it.
The thing that I'm going to remember most is how it didn't have to be. How heartbreaking it was that so many people were dying. I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe. And I don't know if, I hope I feel safe again sometime.
Friends and family and how it affected them. I've noticed that my friends and family have been drinking more and doing more drugs and even kind of bringing their kids into it and stuff because there's no school, so they have no routine no more. They have some of them, their jobs are suffering from it, and just watching them fall apart because everything's just out of whack.
Sure, my anxiety. My anxiety spiked. And sometimes you have, from anxiety, worry, fears. I resolved that we're going to get through this. I've been very optimistic, that we're going to get through this, and it takes all of us. And that's what I keep sharing with everyone. Do your part, and we will get through this. We will all come back stronger. And learning from this, if should ever be another health crisis, what we could do better.
What the most I'll remember about this is staying home and being bored. Yeah.
All the people that died for the coronavirus, and all the people that have got it and recovered, and had to wear a mask all the time, and with me, that was a real tough time.
I'm going to remember that even in your darkest times, never give up hope and never take people for granted. I'm going to know that resilience is there. Persevere. And I'm going to say that I know that the lessons that I've learned in my own personal journey, don't ask for an easy life. Pray to be a strong person.
Dealing with the clients and trying to help them not feel so isolated. One of the staff at our senior facility started going outside and visiting with the clients through the screen to their apartment as a way to be able to interact with them. We've become quite experienced at finding or knowing some of the more subtle symptoms of somebody who might be testing positive. It seems like in some of especially in our older population, it's more confusion or stumbling gait or some of those things as opposed to the temperature. The staff have been rock stars. They every day show up for work and do what they need to do to take care of the people that we serve. They've done an amazing job.
The advice I'd give is write a list and structure your day out for what you're going to do for the whole day, so then you won't be bored and then you won't get symptomatic. That's my advice.
But the advice I would give to other people is to stay calm, pray, work, have faith that God's in control. Read the Bible. Read. God is in control. People, when they die, go to heaven. I know the person who died is going to be okay. He's okay where he is.
Working from home is definitely a challenge because you have to continue to be self-motivated when there's all these different things going on in the background, right? Because you're at home, you can really go do a load of laundry or something, but you shouldn't. You have to try to maintain focus. But but it's been kind of nice as well. Kind of being in an environment that's calm, cool, collected, and still being able to answer the phone calls, to answer the emails.
My advice is that this is only temporary, and eventually it will pass. Maybe we won't go back to the same way that it was, but it will pass and things will get more evened out, and we'll be able to get more of a routine in our lives and be able to look forward to the future more.
Well, if I had to give anyone advice about mental illness, that it will get better, but you need to do certain skills to be able to get through this, like this coping skills for distraction or self-soothe. And at the time, you don't think it will, but it will get better. The stores are opening back up again. Some of the restaurants are opening back up. It will get better.
At this point, what I think we're going to do is we're going to take it a little, we're going to gradually open up. We're only allowing in a certain amount of people to start out with. So what we're thinking that we're doing right now is just to allow the services to open up to where they can come in and at least be allowed the opportunity to talk to an advocate and to get some of their needs met. Is what we're going to do is do on a little smaller scale where they're allowed to practice the social distancing and yet still be able to talk to us. But just on a smaller scale, and we're just going to keep rotating that in and out. As someone leaves, we'll bring in someone else. At this point, we just want to keep everyone safe.
Well, for mental illness, some people are different. Some people hear the same thing to others. I can just say, keep taking your meds, use your coping skills, and just keep telling yourself everything's going to be all right, it'll pass, and it's not going to last. And just take it one day at a time.
The best advice I can give people is as we cope with our daily journey of living with our mental illness, going through this is kind of like living with that. And so whatever coping skills that you do have, connect with that, whether it's nature, art, poetry, connect with your family, or if you don't have family, your church family, friends. Go on social internet. You'd be amazed at some of the things you can learn. Even if you use humor or whatever gifts that you've been given, that can help you cope. And it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to thank God and be sad, but also be grateful.
Well, to have the advice I would give them is to have a routine. I've had a routine, reading, working out, watching TV, but I definitely could do more stuff to occupy myself, just try some new things,
So distraction has become an important coping mechanism, a tool, as they say, for our toolbox to, rely on if, A, B, and C don't work. Try to distract yourself somehow, whether it's bird watching, doing a crossword puzzle, coloring, painting, writing, watching comedies that you miss. There are so many things, and you may have to force yourself to do them, but it beats the alternative.
I believe that the future is going to be very different than the past. I don't think that we're going to get over this anytime soon. I think that mask wearing and social distancing is a part of our long-term future. I think that we will continue to do more things virtually. I think that the world has learned that you probably don't need as much bricks and mortar as you actually have, because you can hold a lot of business virtually. I know that our clients and staff really want to get back together. They miss that socialization and oftentimes feel isolated, even if they're living in a building with other people. But I don't see this going away anytime soon.
I would say take it 1 hour at a time. And don't worry about try not to worry about if you're going to get sick and if your family and friends are going to get sick. Focus on doing your part, and don't take your family or friends for granted. And if you are suffering and you're having symptoms, don't be afraid to call someone.